Ready? Good evening. This is the Guilford, Connecticut Board of Education. Welcome to our January 22nd meeting. This is the first of two public forums that we're going to be holding on the budget. We have received the proposed budget from Dr. Bennett and the Guilford Public Schools Administration. We individually have been looking through the budget. You are welcome to do likewise. You will find it on the Guilford Public Schools website. But tonight and tomorrow night, same time, 7:30, same place, Guilford High School Media Center, are opportunities for the public to come and address the board and give your comments, feedback, etc., about the proposed draft budget as it is before us. As you come up, if you're interested in addressing the board, we ask that you write your name and address on a yellow pad. If you want to first speak and then go do that so that we don't hold up the line, that's fine. We're also going to ask you, if you come up to the podium, to give your name and address. If you are a student, particularly a student under 18, please just give us your name. We are going to ask that you stay within 3 minutes. We are going to keep time because we do want to make sure that everyone has a chance to address the board. And so as the time is winding down, we are going to request that you wrap up your comments so that we can make sure that everyone that's here has an opportunity to speak. That's literally all I'm going to say. Again, if you're interested and haven't yet seen the detailed draft or proposed budget, it is on the Guilford Public Schools website. I also believe that Dr. Freeman's presentation to the board is also there. That will kind of give some summary slides of what's in the budget, as well as some introductory and summary slides on how we frame and think about the budget in the context of the work that Guilford Public Schools does. So I am now going to stop and turn it over to all of you. Again, ask you to come up one by one. Please stay within 3 minutes. Please state your name and address, and then write it on the pad. And what that really does is allows the person taking minutes to actually get your name down correctly. So welcome. Anyone who would like to address is welcome to come up.
My name is Addison Smith. I'm a captain of the Guilford High School crew team. I'm here tonight with captains, dedicated parents and athletes, and the Booster Club president. If you guys want to stand. Thank you. On behalf of the crew community, we thank you for your generous decision to grant us the initial funding that we requested for this year. Your support isn't just about dollars. It's an investment in the teamwork, discipline, and the team camaraderie that goes into group. But more importantly, it's an investment in making these things more financially accessible to all students at Guilford High School. With your support, we aren't just rowing, we're building lifelong skills and friendships. You guys are making waves and we're ready to row on them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Kelli. I live at 1 Highland Street. As I shared at the October 18th meeting for input on the 24-25 budget, I am here to reiterate the importance of strengthening the SRBI process, specifically for K-8 math and literacy universal screeners, as well as interventionists who can provide tier 2 and 3 interventions. Hopefully you received my email with detailed information. Initially, I thought the concerns I raised were new, but it turns out the same problems were already brought to light when Guilford Public Schools commissioned the Futures Education Team to review its special education program. The Clinical and Educational Services Analysis Report is linked on the Board of Ed's website for your reference. One of the primary findings on page 2 says early intervening tiered interventions need to be strengthened to support all learners and to change the belief that the IEP is the only game in town. Another primary finding says greater student outcomes can be realized with an increased focus on RTI. The report goes on to say if you want parents to see special education as the last resort, not the first, that intervention is the first step versus the model of wait to fail with a subsequent referral to special education. An effective SRBI system is the way to do that. Pages 11 through 12 elaborate on the status of the SRBI system. Multiple interviewees described it as inconsistent and inefficient. Some even called it a mess. On page 18, one of the 4 final recommendations is to unify general and special education with common standards to support a more uniform SRBI process. The recommendations given were for a long-range plan. It's been over 10 years since this report came out, but the issues remain the same. With the current structure of staffing, the model for intervention is mostly delivered through a coaching model and put on the responsibility of the K-8 teachers who don't have the tools to provide tier 2 and 3 interventions with fidelity. If you do not have progress monitoring data, students can't move through the tiers or be referred to special education. This results in parents feeling that their children's learning gaps are not being addressed in a systematic way, leading to parent referrals for special education. When an SRBI system is working, parents won't make referrals. Your SPED department will feel less strain and in the long run lead to decreased cost. I'd like to share one more consideration. Data provided by universal screeners allows coaches to have a solid understanding of class and grade level performance and engage in data-driven decision-making, which in turn allows for meaningful professional development. The proposed budget includes a math coach for every elementary school, and I can tell you that without data from universal screeners, it's a waste of money. It's like hiring a landscaper who doesn't own a lawnmower. I would encourage you to include a math universal screener, and if math coaches are hired, their job responsibility should include providing tier 2 and 3 interventions. Board members and families, if you have questions, do not reach out to teachers. This is a systemic issue. Reach out to the leaders, principals who can tell you the current status of SRBI at their schools, Jason Scanziano and the special education coordinators for the elementary and middle schools who oversee the SRBI process, Dr. Goss and Dr. Freeman. Board members, thank you for your commitment to the Guilford Public Schools and for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pat, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Victoria Reynolds. I live at 55 Denison Drive. I'm a parent of Sullivan, a kindergartner, and Quinn, a 3rd grader at A.W. Cox. This past fall, my husband, along with some other parents, come before you and expressed their concern over the growing numbers in this kindergarten class. We stress the importance of a small class, allowing teachers the deserved instruction our students need. We had hopes that our voices would be heard, yet last week, when the proposed budget had been released, we felt ignored. On several occasions, Dr. Freeman states his dedication to small class size, keeping kindergarten classes below 20. Currently, the sections at Cox include 19, 19, and 20. And last week, my student received a new student, in his classroom. So we know that the kids moving in monthly. For whatever the reason, Cox seems to have the largest class sizes compared to other elementary schools in our town, not only in this grade, but also in others. Our district preaches fair and equitable education for all, but I feel that this is not happening, just looking at our numbers. Other kindergarten class sizes are no more than 16, 13 being the smallest at Galvin Lee. I'm standing here before you and asking on behalf of the families of this kindergarten class to reconsider putting our elementary education needs ahead of the proposed budget, which includes additional teachers at LEAT and a drama teacher at Adams. I hope you take this into consideration for next year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrea Paskowitz. I live at 790 Moose Hill Road. I as well am the parent of a kindergartner at Cox. One who also is in that same class that has received another student, bringing us up to 20 in his class. And my questions to the board, I guess it would be, is that I am aware at least that at Lakes, a fourth kindergarten teacher was hired this year. I know that it was done on short notice. That being said, I know that the numbers at Lakes currently, they have only 5 more kindergartners than we have at Cox. And I would love to know the reasoning why Lakes required another kindergarten teacher, but Cox did not. This also is not a trend, that this is not a blip that we have seen, considering that Cox, in the 5 classes that are at Cox at the moment, only one of them is 41. Other than that, we have numbers of 56, 50, and 50, another class of 57, other than the kindergarten class. So clearly this is something that is not going away. And so I'm concerned that we are not putting our funding towards where our students are. I'm also curious as to the line in the budget that gives a grade 4 teacher at Galvin. I do not know how many teachers are there currently, but I do know that the rising class is a class of 48, which I would be interested to know if there are 3 teachers there and they're going to get a 4. Why is that not happening at Cox? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nelson Wang. I live at 798 Lake Drive. And we want to thank you for your consideration already with the increase in funding for next year's hockey teams. We look forward to finishing our season strong and have a successful season next year. It means a lot that you guys fund with the extra funding for us. So we want to thank you for considering it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Jordan and I live at 3 Farmview Drive. And similar to some of the speakers you heard before, I also have a kindergarten AW Cox. So I just wanted to share some remarks. I was unfortunately not able to attend my husband and I the meeting in the fall, but after reviewing the proposed budget, our family was once again disappointed and discouraged and really left confused. Like so many families here, we sold our homes in surrounding towns, attended countless open houses, and submitted numerous offers, and even added time onto our commute to move to a town that prides itself in education and doing what is right and best for our children, my children, along with so many here. Every family that I've met in Guilford shares our passion and commitment for their children's education and has faith in Dr. Freeman and the board, and your ability to provide a learning community that fosters adaptable learners, critical thinkers, global citizens, and empathetic individuals. I feel that with the current class size at Cox, the system that we put our faith and trust in is failing my son Finn and his current AW Cox classmates. Currently, AW Cox, as shared, has 2 classes of 19 students and 1 with 20, exceeding the 3 other elementary schools' class size. Even with an additional teacher, Cox's class size would most likely be 1 or 2 students over some of the classes at Galvin meet. At reference of class size of 13. Furthermore, Guilford Lakes added an additional kindergarten classroom teacher to reduce the class size and provide the best learning community for their students.
In a community that wholeheartedly invested in our students and what is best for our children, I am concerned at this drastic discrepancy between the education that is being provided between our four elementary schools. Class size is critical to student success and individualized instruction that teachers can provide in the classroom. Finn and his classmates deserve the same instruction that their peers are receiving in the other classrooms throughout our community by providing him with the same opportunity for formative assessment, feedback, conferencing, and responsive small group instruction. When I emailed this summer expressing my concern regarding Cox's class size, Dr. Freeman responded that with the 4 neighborhood elementary schools, it is impossible to completely level the classes across the grade level and therefore end up with a variation in class sizes and are forced to work within the preferred range. At this time, while Cox has the largest K classes, all their sections are below 20, which is within the range of the Board of Education sets for that grade level. We have one classroom. We have one classroom at 20 and are continuously growing. Why are the same Guilford students he attended preschool with provided learning environments where the ratio is almost 50% higher than Finn and his classmates? When we all moved here, we provide that best education for our children. It's important, Finn and his classmates, we expected that same education. And I worry that when we get to Baldwin, that we're going to see this discrepancy in class size. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Galvin of 20 Landon's Way. I'm a parent of Adeline, a current kindergartner at AW Cox. After reviewing the budget proposal for the next calendar year, I was also disappointed to see that an allocation was not made for first grade teacher at Cox for the 2024 and 2025 budget. I think we've all learned what the ratio is, but just as a reminder, the class sizes are 19, 19, and 20. I don't think we can say that the children are receiving a fair and equitable education to their peers at the other schools within our community. We're all aware that the peer kindergarten classes within our own district have between 13 and 16 students in their respective classes. The level of the education cannot be expected to be the same with such a varying degree of teacher to student ratio. I spoke at 2 of the recent Board of Ed meetings and I've written emails to all of you, and it seems like the message has either not been prioritized or is not being heard. As of today, I would like to formally ask for an accounting of all the students per grade at all elementary schools to be open to the public to ensure an equitable education is being provided to all students. The student to teacher ratio is very important to maintain the high level of education that Dr. Freeman has committed to. His vocal dedication to small class size, while admirable, is not felt throughout the district. For another example, my older daughter is in 3rd grade at Cox. She had a student added to her class last week, making it the largest class at Cox with 22 students. I ask you to reconsider putting our elementary education needs ahead of the proposed budget, which includes additional teachers at Lakes and a drama teacher at Adams. We all know that elementary school is the most important within the district and their learning environment. The strain that these class sizes are putting on the teachers will affect our ability to retain them, which will end up having to be much larger financial strain than adding this position at the beginning of the year. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? Anybody? Oh.
Hello, Ken 100 Trailway Drive. It's nice to see you all again. I'm here to say thank you for the proposal to increase funding to the athletics program overall. I've been here for the past several public forums to just continue to advocate for increasing funding for coaching stipends and other athletic budget needs. As I shared last time I was here, I don't feel that burden can fall to our parents, and that's what's happening with many of our assistant coach positions through our booster club. So I appreciate the additional proposal for, I believe it's tennis, football, crew, and cheer. And I'd like to think we're not done yet, because I know there are still additional assistant coach positions that are being funded by booster clubs. For example, the boys lacrosse team has been funding two assistant coaches positions through their booster club for a number of years. So I'd love to see that continue. And I'd love to know what I kind of hear and see a vision for how we get to fully funding all these positions. You know, I appreciate over the last several years, there have been some nice modest increases to the athletics budget, which is much appreciated. I'd love to see how we get to the point of funding all these positions, so it's not on the parents' shoulders to burden that. And again, the ice time and the pool time is wonderful. And I think we're finally catching up to where we should have been, I think, for a number of years. So again, I appreciate that support. And I know the cheer program in particular, they advocated last year to kind of be returned as a club program, and the girls showed up and did a wonderful job. And I appreciate the support. I believe that's being pushed forward to be a varsity sport next year, which is wonderful to hear, because I think that program is going to continue to soar. They have wonderful leadership with their coach, and so I just continue to advocate for the support of that program. It not only supports our other student athletes, but those girls are, I'm assuming, going to go compete and try to win their own awards and win their own team accolades as well. So thank you for hearing those calls for increased funding, and I hope we continue to move down the path of fully funding all those different coaching stipends, especially. But I also know there are needs for equipment, and obviously I know transportation budget is increasing, but I think we're just catching up to where we probably should have been for a number of years. So thank you for your consideration and continued support. It's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adam Cologne, Tulip Tree Drive, 96 Tulip Tree Drive. I'm here representing what's known as the Parent Booster Club for Netminders. It's a boys lacrosse team for the high school. So Ken, thank you for some of my comments that I want to bring today. But quickly, I just want to say thank you for the Board of Ed. I want to say thank you to Mr. Freeman, our athletic director, as well as Guilford High School principal. We hosted a meeting here a couple of weeks ago. It was a very open dialogue and communication to understand the challenges that the program has and how each of the booster clubs got together and sort of talked through their challenge of raising money. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for just having that meeting. And I clearly, and during that meeting, just advocated more additional communication and more meetings. So I appreciate that time. Real quickly, I thank you for all the support for the athletic programs and things that are growing. As for the boys lacrosse team, just more education on the fact that it is a strong growing support. We have just completed, I also coach on the youth side. We just completed a lot of our registrations. So I provided some details last time. We had about 27 boys that are freshmen that are coming through. We have about 25 at the 8th grade level. We have 36 at the 7th grade level, and we have the high 20s looking at the 6th and the 5th grade level. And the reason why I bring that up is right now we're at a ratio of 1 to 20 from the coaches that are being provided. But I'm telling you, by next year and there, we're going to be into the 25s, into the 30s. So staffing will continue to be a challenging, and for a physical contact sport, I just want to be on your radar, the risk and what we're trying to do to manage that. So if anyone wants more data or highlights of the registration, we're more than willing to share that information. So once again, thank you again for all your support. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to address the board this evening?
Good evening, Nate Jacobson, 1470 Long Hill Road. I'm someone that's been coming to these for a great number of years, largely myself around athletic issues. It's really welcoming to hear the SRBI perspective that I think is long overdue, as well as the class size issues. A lot of these conversations have been around kind of these niche type needs and not some of the core needs. So just want to mention that in the meeting and thank them for coming out. My topic that I want to talk about is some of the athletic funding. There's a booster meeting recently where I think administration is aware of some shortcomings in the athletics that have been long outstanding. Certainly the board is aware, and that booster clubs are donating for volunteer salaries. So as administration is trying to really clarify or define essential spending that should be the board's responsibility. To me, coaching is the forthright one. We have a lacrosse program that is the parents have paid, or the booster club has paid for 2 assistant lacrosse coaches for at least five years, as Mr. Clone has been involved with. lacrosse program that the equipment that they're purchasing, the Booster Club is purchasing is over $1,000 in lacrosse ball. To me, that's essential spending for an athletic activity. So I'd ask you to consider that. Some non-essential things that I think I want to put the bug in the air for the future. If there's one aspect of this whole beautiful high school campus and soon to be central office campus that has not been touched, and it is the weight room. I've talked to some people and talked to Art Fonicello, former football coach from the 80s. He gave me the information that at least 5 of the pieces of equipment are there were hand done by people's fathers that were welders. They were professionals, but it's ultimately not a professional piece of equipment. There's platforms in there that are posing safety risks. So just that the tennis courts have now been redone. This superintendent's complex or central office complex is going to be touched. You know, possible capital spending to address some safety needs in that weight room. As well as in November, I guess it was late October, I mentioned if we can investigate ways to increase accessibility for female athletes in that weight room. Just the way it works out now is I'm guessing it's 95% used by male athletes. Thank you. So I just want to kind of put the bug in the air. I don't think that's essential spending for this budget, but if there's some type of planning process for future years, it seems like it would make sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board this evening? Anybody? Only one? All right, it appears that no one else is wanting to come up, so I will note that we will be holding a forum like this tomorrow night here, Tuesday night, January 23rd, in this room, Guilford High School Media Center. We have received a number of emails from folks also sharing concerns. Some of them spoke tonight, some of them have just emailed. That's another avenue for the public to communicate to the board, particularly anyone who's unable to come to one of these public forums. We are reading each and every email and taking in the information as well. Once this process of kind of public information gathering has occurred, we will absolutely be talking through what we hear from you, the community, as well as raising each of us, perhaps individually raising our own questions, discussion points around the proposed budget that's put in front of us. We are slated to have a meeting in which we vote on this budget. That will include reductions we choose to make and or additions we choose to make to the proposed budget on February 5th. I expect that we will be likely scheduling a special meeting sometime next week because we often prefer to have additional discussion time. That will be a public meeting. It will not necessarily have a public forum component, but anyone is more than welcome to come and listen as we deliberate what we've heard from you and from each other. Do you have, Dr. Freeman, anything you want to add before I adjourn the meeting tonight?
No, I appreciate the feedback, and I know that the board will deliberate on the topics that were raised tonight, as well as those that get raised tomorrow night.
Okay. Any of my colleagues have anything they want to say at this point? All right. So I really thank you all for coming, even those of you who didn't speak, just being here and being engaged. We welcome the company at our meetings, and again, encourage continued communication as we deliberate through this budget. So thank you so much, and I hope you all have a good rest of your evening. Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.